welcome to BACKCHAT. We've got an illustrious guest here. It's Masters 1 European winner, BONECOLD from Team Acend. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really fine, thank you. I've been on vacation. Have gotten to do a lot of things on my break. Got to meet you guys. It's going really fine. Thank you for asking.
Nice. The first thing that I wanted to get into is as you came on the show, you said I'm at Esports School, and I was like, is that some translational thing? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. I feel like I'm too old. I haven't realized the developments that have been happening within like the grassroots level of esports. Can you explain where you are right now and like what the concept is?
Oh yeah. So right now I'm living and studying esports in my school Alman. That's located in Finland, Tampere. And what the esports school gives me is that I get an environment to just live and breathe Valorant. I have an open gym. We have a boot camp space here. We have 3 meals per day that we don't even have to cook or anything. So like everything's just set for a player to live up by his name and just try to go pro in Valorant or in a game that they play.
Sure,
And
yeah.
if it's okay for you guys, I can show a bit of the classroom if you guys want.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds
Let's-
sick. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see how this works out. Yeah, so we have like a room of like approximately like 40 players, but because of the corona, it's a bit limited right now.
Right.
So do you like schedule times to come in, or is it?
Not really. Like you have to be I don't know the word in English, but you have to be in the school at least like once per day, so you get like the attendance.
Attendance? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
part of a larger university structure, or is it just like an individual school like by itself?
It's kind of funny. We have a farm here. We have a school for chefs, like animal vets, florists right under us. It's a mixed mass of
Right.
different persons
But it seems like a lot of that is guided towards a career specifically. Whereas like a university or colleges that I've experienced are like, hey, we're gonna teach you a subject. It's probably not gonna help you that much. But it seems like a lot of the stuff there is very career focused. Like you have an idea of what you want to do, so you go to school and you specialize heavily in that.
Yeah, it really does. Like you really go like you have like a specific path that you want to take, and if it's like one of the things you like here in Alman, you can go for it, and you can just do it like day after day, and actually like really do what you like really want to do.
Huh. That is extraordinarily cool. I don't think anything like that, as far as I'm aware, existed when I was growing up. Not that I would have been good enough to take advantage of it in the slightest, anyway.
True.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna say like the biggest thing that really helps out, at least for me here, it's not really that I have like a space to play and I get meals and I have an open gym or whatever, but it's the people around you. You have like same-minded people, like 40 of them close to you that you can talk to and you can hang out with. I think that's the biggest plus, like being here.
Are there any other Valorant pros there, or?
It's kind of a flex, but I'd say
Flex,
not
baby.
pros, but I'd say there's like a lot of like upcoming talent, and like if you were here, we also have like visits from like pro coaches from other games that come here and visit and teach for like 1 week. And like if you perform here and you do well, you talk with the coaches. It's really easy to get like picked up or at least get some connections.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it all just sounds like a sick idea. How much do you think it's actually helped you personally as well? I don't know what the time frame is in terms of you playing Valorant and getting into it, but could you explain some of your personal history of like trying to go pro in Valorant and how it's interacted with the kind of school system?
Yeah, so I think it has like being here, and I've lived here now for the past maybe 7 months. It's almost as long as I have played Valorant. Not exactly, but like 70-80% of the time I've been playing Valorant, I've been living here.
Right.
And I think it's just the management of my sleeping schedule and my eating schedule, and being a lot more social than I was when I was living in my own apartment or at my parents'. I
Mhm.
feel like it has, like, I'd say my performance went like 20% up when I came here. It has really like gotten a like new side of me being here.
Oh, that's sick. Talking about kind of your background, what's the team that you're part of? Originally called Raise Your Edge, and swapped its name over to Acend. How does
Yeah.
that? How did that team come together? What's the origin story there of that roster? Because a lot of teams, a lot of fans didn't have you on their radar coming into Masters One. They're like, oh yeah, they're a pretty decent team. Oh, that's the roster that cNed went and joined. You know, it was that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But how did those 5 players end up playing together?
Yeah. So Cold Menta and our manager Crimson, they were a part of the Race Your Edge PUBG team like 1 year, 2 years ago. And I'm not sure how Cold Menta and NBS met, but they wanted to start out the project, and they just started inviting players. They did some tryouts, and Menta, at least he convinced me to join and at least come to the tryouts. He said, like, Raise Your Edge is a really good organization. They said, like, they have really talented players. They have a really good head coach. And BS was part of No Penki last year, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. And they had really good success on No Penki as well. So it's just, I went to tryouts. I really liked. I liked all the players. I loved how NBS coached. I really loved how Coldamenta called in game. So it was a really easy decision going into Race Your Reds back then when I was still playing in Helsinki Reds in my previous team.
Mm. What you said there that you really liked the way that NBS coached and Coldamenta was calling. Can you kind of describe like the styles that they have in terms of like what they actually bring? What enticed you to join? What are the qualities that you really like from them?
Of course, yeah. So what Coldamenta does, like, he's a hardworking man. Like, the man just doesn't get tired of like making strats, thinking how we should play, what should we do in our like next day's practices. He's a really hardworking man. He's a smart player as well. It's really easy to work with him. And on NBS really he gets the best out of all the players that he has. Like, he tries to get everyone on the same page, tries to get everyone extremely comfortable, but also, like, it's kind of funny. Like, he gets people into the comfortable zone, but then again, he kind of like dips the players' feet into the uncomfortable water, you know?
Sure.
Where we had to like learn new things and do something that we don't want to, just to like experiment, do new things, see if anything new and exciting pops up. And I think that's a really cool like mishmash of things, and how we actually performed so well and like got to the finals and won the Masters 1.
Mm.
I wanted to ask about like just in general, like when you first started, was it just the 5 of you right off the bat? Did you have any other players who you're starting with like before stage 1 even started? And like what was the feeling of the team when you guys got put together? Did you guys feel like you guys were really good, like level of winning Masters 1, or was it kind of like uncertain, you know?
It was uncertain because on Masters 1, on the qualifiers, we made it through from the last qualifier, and I think it was on the first qualifier we lost to FPX. That really
Mhm.
felt like it really didn't feel easy. It was actually quite stressing to play against them. On the next qualifier, we lost to a Spanish team called Cream Real Betis, but we had gotten some success winning Vodafone Giants and winning. I can't remember the team that we beat before that, but like, we had our moments. I'd say that we were all comfortable in a way that we knew we can beat everyone on a really good day, But then again, we could lose to every single team that was in the open qualifiers any given day. So we just really had to focus on getting people onto the same page and really just trying to grind and try to get everyone's performance level as high as we could. On the last qualifier, I feel like after winning some of the better teams, for example, we won against the win against NIP on the playoffs. I think that was the point where we said to each other that okay, like we can win NIP, we can win against FPX. We know we're a really good team, and it really carried us just having the self-confidence on every single player and the coach.
So it sounds like you were building all that like during like you guys started as a 5-man and then instantly stage 1 comes and it's just like working on getting past every individual hurdle, right? Like this team, and then the next time it's this team, and so on. It's like a slow building process more than just like everything clicks, right? Everything is good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really agree on that. I feel like we really learned a lot on every single loss that we took, especially after we first lost against NIP, where we lost 0-2. The games were winnable. They were extremely winnable. Like we got to match point and lost 2 maps on overtime. We know, we knew that we can beat them. So it's just everyone. It was like the first time we broke the ice off. We had nothing to lose, but we had a lot to win, and we broke the ice. Next time we met NIP, we won them 2-0. So after every single loss, we learned something. We got stronger as a team, and we managed to just be better the next time we met them in an official.
Before we get into those kind of matches, because I definitely want to ask you about the kind of run through Masters 1 as well. But before we get there, I feel like for anybody who hasn't watched all of that run, or when you guys first broke out and looked like a really dangerous team, the thing that instantly hit me about you guys was that you played such different compositions to everybody else. I mean, at the time in Europe, people are playing no duelist compositions. NIP, who you're talking about, you met them multiple times, was starting this 0 duelist comp where you're running the Sage and the Sova and the Breach and just as many utility agents as possible. And there's you guys pulling out the Reyna, the Jett, and the Viper and the Sky on various different maps, and thinking about the game so differently to, as far as we could tell, every other tier 1 team. Like, just a fundamentally different way of looking at the game. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, duelists, it's like North America. But I really feel like it was quite unique. I haven't seen another team that was running the same stuff as you guys. So where the heck did that come from? And why, how did you realize that that was an effective way of playing?
Yeah, so I feel like it's half and half. It's some of like the players said like I'd really like to test out playing this agent on this map, and the other half was our coaching or the IGL Colamenta wanted us to try out different comps, and we just feel like you can play. For example, let's take the where we are like the Icebox map where we played Jett and Reyna, no duelist, or maybe on Acend because most of the people play Sentinel on Acend.
Yes, yeah.
We feel like you can run Reyna kind of like a Sentinel. You know, when Cypher places some of the traps, kills a few people like through the smokes or whatever, gets a frag or 2 before the retake happens. You can do the same with Reyna and be 10 times more proactive than with Cypher. You can like sneak out of a smoke, get a frag, and instantly like dismiss and like get out of the site. And then you have flashes and you have the overheal and you have like the 10 times better clutch potential than with Cypher. And we feel like someone with Killes that has like one of the best like crosshair placements on Valorant, I just feel like it really, really fit him really nicely on the maps that he played Reyna. So I really feel like it's a confidence and the being comfortable on different agents on different maps that really make us a dangerous team to play against, because you never know what you're gonna play against the opponent.
I like that. It seems like it's like the comps came out of comfort picks for you guys, but also you use them in a way that would fill the gaps. I mean, you're talking about like replacing a cipher with a Reyna, and I don't think everybody's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But like at the same time, you guys are clearly thinking about the gaps that are left when an agent is dropped off of the comp. Are there any other aspects that are like that? Like, for example, the Viper on binds that you guys are running. Is there like stuff that you have to fill because you're playing Viper or other agents in that regard as well?
Yes, there are. When you're not playing Cypher or any Sentinel in any map, you really need to be watchful on the flanks, just to be like precise on the timings where you go. You can't have like, if you're playing, for example, on Bind, you have Viper and you have Brimstone. You need to be really careful that when you're playing the lineup game after the execute, you really need to be careful for the flanks. You need to be not like thoughtful on the fact that there can be like 2 or even 3 people just flanking you because they know like there's no cipher traps, there's no killjoy turret watching flank. So it's just a nice meta game. That's one of the reasons why I really like Valorant so much, is there's so many different outcomes and possibilities regarding
Yeah.
maps and agents and whatever.
Yeah. And it seems like your team wanted to be very proactive as well. I know that that's something that you mentioned when you were talking about Keyless playing the Reyna, but a lot of the time when I was watching your Masters run, it's like there was an Ascent example. I can't remember who you were playing against, actually. It might have been NIP, but it might have been Heretics or something like that, where frequently Keyless and cNed are pushing out areas very aggressively on defense and like pushing all the way to mid and then pushing further into tiles or getting into people's spawns and stuff. And it feels like you guys were really, a lot of people play the duelists on defense, and their way of getting value out of them is that they hold a one and done spot and then they have the dash or the dismiss to be able to get away. But it feels like the thought process from you guys was very much, we're almost going to play attack on defense. We're going to try and clear out areas. And then if we run into trouble, we have the escape mechanisms on the Jett and the Reyna. Is that right? Is that kind of part of the process, or is that me just reading something else into it?
I feel like I agree on your point. I just feel like for example, when we push with Jett and Reyna, for example, you have the possibility, especially if you're playing Reyna, you can push with Reyna. You can take a lot of control of the map. You can have Reyna really far away on the bomb site, and you can do what you just said, like people holding bomb sites one and done and 10 get away. But what if you can do it a lot further away? You can, like, when they're just walking down, they're not even ready to execute, and you're ready to kill one and escape. And you can get like 2-3 picks, and the Reyna can just do the things that Reyna likes to do, that is dismiss away, and you can get a lot of advantage and a lot of information doing that.
You guys also seem to be incredibly prepared. Like, I'm thinking about your Viper walls on Bind, and actually, not even just that, but the amount of people on your team that change agents at various different times, it's extraordinary, actually. Like, Keyless moves from Cypher over to the Reyna. You play the Brim and then the Viper on when it comes to Icebox, right? And then we've got...
Yeah.
I mean, Keyless himself actually plays the Viper when it comes to Bind, too. And you have so many different walls. I mean, especially on Bind, most teams, like Fnatic, who were one of the first teams to really solidify Viper Brimstone in the meta, they have, like, one wall that they normally place on attack, and they have pretty much one wall that they like to place on defense. And then, you know, some other teams like FPX will have a couple of different Viper walls if Angel decides to play that. But you guys have like 7. You guys have tons of different setups. And it doesn't seem like they don't... I think the problem is, from a lot of people's POVs, when they see a certain Viper wall go down, they're like, oh, well, that must be a tell. You know, they must be doing something specific because the Viper Wall is there. And you guys are like, nah, fuck it, just throw it down, just confuse them. At least that's what it feels like watching you guys. You don't always do the same thing based on where the Viper Wall was set up on defense.
It's confusing to us sometimes as well. Killers just says, I'm gonna throw the wall here, and we're just, okay. Coldamenta has a lot to adapt to, and we make it. If we don't know what we're doing, the enemy doesn't, like, they 100% don't know what we're gonna do. So I think that's a really big advantage. There's also to be fact, there's also some use for the some of the walls, but we have given Killers the opportunity, especially on bind, to like do things freely. Like, he doesn't really have a lot of mobility. He doesn't have a lot of ways to like be that that active on the map. So we just give him the freedom to try to find some openings, try to confuse the enemy, and try to like get 1 or 2 rounds, and like just be like a joker, like on the enemy side, just knowing like, okay, they threw this Viper wall, but we're going to the right opposite side of the map.
Right.
I mean, the Sage isn't on here, but Sage is also something that you guys switch in quite a lot, especially throughout the Masters 1 run. My question kind of goes back to the Sentinel-esque thing that you were mentioning. When do you find that Sage is appropriate for maps? And also, like, doesn't she fill the gap that the Sentinelist plays do kind of as well? Because I mean, she is classified as that. Her wall is pretty good information-wise, and so on.
Yeah, so I agree on that point. It's really nice to have like the not so much like, well, you do get the information, yeah, when you like place the wall, and you know, like, if enemy haven't broken the wall, you know, like, they can't be in that specific area. I feel like now that we have like Starks on Sky, that is really, really good as guy. I think he's like just hands down like the best guy in the world, I'd say, watching him play on Screams on officials. If we're playing Sky, I feel like we have that amount of information where we can replace Sova with a Sage. And I feel like Sage is something that gives us a lot of opportunities where we can like stop and execute, play more contact on attacking side with the Sage ulti of the Resurrection. We can like retake parts of map without making no steps. Do you know what confidence level cNed has when like Coldamenta is walking behind him and he says, go peek, I have res, and see that, okay, I go Mehmet style, and he just walks into the side, gets 3, and we win the round. It's it's something that really goes well for the whole team, not just like for one player that likes to play Sage. I feel like it fits a lot of the maps, and it feels really good to replace it on Sova on a lot of the maps as well.
I want to touch on the cNed aspect, actually, because we haven't talked about that, but the guy was just a fucking beast throughout the entire run. He was just unbelievable. And he'd already been putting up good numbers. So when he was playing on like Nopanki and BBL and these other teams that he'd previously been on, he was a good player. He was a really good player. But he always looked like he hadn't quite been able to like get onto that team that used him properly, or have the right structure around him to like float and just do his own thing. And it feels like on Acend, he had all of that freedom to be able to go wherever the hell he wanted, and always had your guys backing him. And the numbers he was putting up were just immense, like absolutely ridiculous. What's it like playing with a player like that?
I really like the way you like made it come out. Like, I feel like cNed really gets like, we give him no chains regarding like where he can go, where he can't go. It's mostly like cNed has the opportunity. Like, he's a smart player. Like, he frags really well, but he's a really good clutch player in the means of like, if he can stay alive. If he gets like 1 or 2 rounds where he's not entering as Jett, but he gets to like hold an angle and be one of the like last 2 or 3 players alive in a clutch moment, sometimes you just win the round having seen it on site defending on the last 3 guys coming in, like you saw against Heretics, for example. Like the man he can do magic with his hands.
Yeah.
Like, but I really like the way you put it. I feel like it actually is pretty 100% what you just said. Like we give him a lot of freedom, and having him with the freedom, I think he gives a lot to our team.
It sounds
Yeah.
like all of you guys have like decent freedom in general. I mean, you mentioned Keyless and all of that. So like with his Viper walls, who like obviously you mentioned NBS, the coach, and Coldamenta, but are you guys all kind of on the roles that you guys are playing? Are you guys all coming up with like the ideas and the setups and theory crafting everything as well, or is it mostly NBS and Coldamenta while everybody else is kind of focused on improving themselves individually?
I'd say that it's like every single player, like everyone gives some ideas. They have some individual plays that they want to share with their team, but I'd say it's mostly Coldamenta and NBS that are doing the strat book, and they think about what's the best way for us to play. But Coldamenta, he's a hard working man. Like the dude, I hope Calder doesn't hate me after this, but when we played Masters 1 against FPX, on my time it was 11 or 12 at night, and we knew that we were gonna be playing Heretics the next day. And I remember waking up, and the man has prepared right after you play a best of 3 semifinals against FPX. And the next morning you wake up, Coldamenta has been awake till like 4 a.m. Just like, okay, here's 5 maps prepared against Heretics. On Pint they play like this, on Acend they play this comp, and it's just like, okay, like just take a rest. Take a rest.
That's
Sit
incredible.
down, Colda.
Jesus.
But I mean, that kind of stuff must have been so helpful for you when you're doing that kind of run.
100%. Like Coldamenta, like I'd say like 50% of the win just straight out goes to Coldamenta. Like the man, he puts in the hours to actually makes our team so much better. But at the same time, like he's mechanically really good as well. Like we have seen some really good clutch rounds of him. He's really nice to play with. He has really good communication, and he's really easy to work with. So I think like Coldamenta, for me at least, like he's one of the, I'd say he's like top 2. I'd say like Glaive in CSGO, Coldamenta on Valorant. I think those are like the 2 idols, I'd say, regarding like the IGL role.
That's interesting. That's really cool. Because I don't know, in my experience, there's teams that when they have an IGL like that works hard. I mean, you mentioned like 4 times already how hard this guy works. When you get that amount of preparation that this guy's putting in, teams sometimes resent that in the fact that they're like, wow, this guy puts so much work in. I'm not putting near as much work. I like don't know how to handle and use what he does to actually make myself and my team better. So how do you guys use all of the stuff that Coldamenta does? I mean, you said he prepares 5 maps against Heretics before the match. How do you take all that information and actually implement it yourself?
We just try to get, I feel like not everything can be just like pick one thing that he has put it into like our Discord and just place it into our brains. But I feel like a lot of the players, like they read the text, they can see, like they can remember like 1 or 2 things that they know like the enemy might be doing. And it's just something that really comforts you, and it feels, I know I'm not Coldamenta, I didn't do the work, but I really feel like doing the preparation and winning after that, I feel like it's really rewarding for Coldamenta. But in the regards of players using the information, I feel like everyone takes as much as they can, but not in a way that it it takes on to their performance. For
Mm-hmm.
example, they don't think about everything that he written, but they have few, 1 or 2, 3 things that they know, like, okay, they might do this thing. I feel like
Yeah.
it's still really helpful.
Yeah,
Does he
for
do
sure.
the same as like in a critical manner? Like, does he watch back your games and like criticize BONECOLD for like the plays that he makes, or?
Yeah, there has been a few words said from Coldamenta to me when I died in the first 10 seconds, and he just BONECOLD stop feeding. Like he's harsh. He's harsh, but in a good way. He gives a lot of good critique, and we have like really smart players around Coldamenta that I feel like everyone takes the criticism and learns from it, and doesn't like take offense from it.
Nice.
Let's talk a bit about your Masters 1 run then, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about as well was just your performance during it. Because there were some matches where you just stepped up and you were delivering enormous kind of results, especially with the Sheriff, actually. There was so many moments where you were getting really clutch Sheriff kills to be able to combine with like cNed's knives or something to deliver your team eco rounds. And it felt like you guys ran the gauntlet to win Masters 1. You beat all of the top teams that were in your path. No one can say you had an easy run through it, right? Like you beat all of the teams that anybody would be predicting to win the tournament itself. But a lot of them were extremely close games as well. They felt like they were on a knife's edge. And so those kind of, it certainly felt from the outside like your players are very, and you yourself are very like big game players. It felt like in the crunch time, you were really stepping up and delivering and overperforming, perhaps. Is that the kind of impression that you guys had from inside the team as well? Like, holy shit, we're playing well. Or is that, or was that just another day at the office for BONECOLD?
No. It's the games were really rewarding, and all the games that we played, as you said, like there's a lot of close games. But I remember in one of the interviews I said, like, I'm not gonna say like we're the top 1 team in Europe. I don't think nobody right now at least has the right to say like they're the top 1 team, because I
Right.
feel like there's so many teams, even like going down, like if we look at VLR.gg's ranking list, for example. I feel like there's top 30 teams that can upset the top 1 team in any given day. I feel like right now there's so much in the air regarding there's just so many
Like
many
the
good teams in
matchups.
Europe.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
so many good like there's so many upsets, there's so many good teams, but I kind of forgot the question already. I'm
No,
sorry.
I was just asking if you guys felt like you had some moments where the pressure made you perform better, I think is how I would put it. Is that what it felt like from inside the team?
It did, yeah. I think it gave us, like, winning NIP the first time. For me at least, it gave a lot of confidence. I feel like on officials, I feel like everyone's performance level actually just rises up like at least 50% comparing to scrims, at least. Um, we have, I just feel like we have like such a smart group of like 6 people that everybody knows like when to save energy and when to pull it all out and not to save one bit. And recording, when you said like when we overperform, I'd say that we all get confidence from each other. Like there's Coldamenta that can clutch, there's Skillet, cNed, Stark, so me. Everybody in the team can clutch a 1vx situation. And I feel like that's something that gives us a really big edge, knowing that we can trust every single teammate of us. Like there's never a situation where you have to say to someone like, okay, I need you to bait for me, like, you know, like switch positions just to get the better player, you know, to be the last guy alive. We can
Right.
just it's just something that gives us a lot of confidence and makes us overperform. I agree on that.
It's just full trust, right? Like each individual guy you trust fully to do what he needs to do, right? How,
Yeah.
how do you build that? How do you become that?
I think you
That's
just
too
need to
big.
be
That's a
a
big ass question. I realized
just
that.
you need to
How do
be
you
a
become
gamer.
good?
Like you need to be a gamer. You just need to understand like what's your position in the team. You're playing for like you're playing on the top dog like leagues. You just need to know that like there can't be any mistrust on the teammates that you're playing with, because when you have mistrust, the enemy team is gonna take like, you give the enemy team an inch, they're gonna take a mile, especially on the like the biggest games. And I feel like you need to be a smart player. I feel like you need to have like the right kind of mentality going into the games.
The NIP turnaround was really interesting to me. What would you say you changed between losing to NIP 2-0 in a very winnable game? Like, you guys looked almost like the better team even though you lost. And then you turned it around and you were able to beat them the next time you had to play them in the lower bracket. What changed there for you guys? The score literally flips, but I don't feel like it wasn't like you guys had to change a lot, but what were the big takeaways that then powered you through the rest of the bracket?
I think there was just I already mentioned it once before, but it was like we broke the ice towards like winning against. I mean, like we lost against an IP, so we kind of broke the ice of broke the ice on having to like we were in a pressure situation where we had nothing to lose but a lot to win.
Right.
Once we broke that ice, I feel like everyone got really confident, and just like if I can just read from a paper almost, I feel like when we played against NIP the first time, we learned that we just have to be just a tiny bit decisive. Like when somebody says let's do this, we follow it and we do it like this. I feel like that's something that gave us the edge.
And then I don't know whether you saw this, but you absolutely boomed my Twitter prediction of FPX as well. Don't know whether you spotted that, but I tweeted out saying, wow, FPX are unbelievable. You can really feel the momentum building for them to win their first major title. I was high aboard the FPX train, and then cNed decided to fucking blow up the train with his AWP. And that was a nasty, nasty game. That shit was crazy. What was going on there?
It was just cNed and friends, I guess. I mean, the man just like when it was time for him to shine, he shined like a star. Like, I mean, cNed is the type of guy like he feels no pressure. He loves the game, and he's just there to play. That's what I said earlier about like you just need to be a gamer and have the right mentality going into the big games. You can't have any pressure. You can't be thinking about what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. You just need to be holding your mice, holding your keyboard, and enjoy what you're doing. I feel like that's what cNed's doing, and I think it's, well, you can see it on VRR.GG stats that I think it's working really good for him.
It is, yeah. You said, though, that you'd played FPX previously as part of the qualifiers, and it was a scary game that they kind of ruined you. Is that just based on the confidence that you're able to come in and you're like, oh, well, we've beaten these good teams so far. We've beaten NIP. We can do it again.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like after winning NIP, we knew like they're not a weak team. They're like a really, really strong team with like really strong fundamentals. I knew that like if we just play with the same energy that we played NIP the previous day before FPX, I feel like we could have beaten any team in the world with the energy that we had against NIP. So I just feel like it was just knowing and claiming the confidence and like remembering like how good we were against NIP, just knowing that we can perform so well. it really helped us out playing against FPX and Heretics.
Did you find that? I mean, FPX and Heretics are really quite slow teams. They, especially when they're attacking, they like to try and hold, try and shut down aggression. But they just couldn't stop you guys. Like it felt like everything that they had done to try and slow down the tempo, you guys would always find a way to work a pick, and open things up or clutch some crazy situation too. If you think back with the benefit of hindsight to like the comps that they're playing, like we've got it up here as well with FPX playing their zero duelist comp on Acend, and then you guys playing the Jett and the Reyna and that kind of stuff. Do you think that you were ahead of the game in some sense? Like, do you think that you just had like a better read on the meta, and this was how you were able to outperform what FPX was trying to do?
Yeah, I feel like if you think about like the meta game, I feel like Jett and Reyna is the perfect agents to have against teams that are playing like slow compositions, because what I said earlier about like Reyna replacing Cypher in a way of like he can go and get a pick and get out, unlike Cypher. I feel like when FPX had like no movement abilities, we felt like Reyna could be like it's gonna be a really good pick, knowing that they can't just like Jett can't dash or Race can't just like run into sight, break some angles, and then the rest of the team comes in. We knew that when they come out, we can have Reyna frag the first guy that comes into sight and fall off, and we get a 5v4 retake after that. So I really feel like we kind of had the meta game on our side, but I also feel like we had the crazy confidence coming in from winning NIP against them as well.
Sure.
It kind of felt like all of Europe took a step backwards in the meta back during that Masters run, right? He's saying like how slow they're playing, how they're not playing the duelist. You're saying how they're not playing any of the things that can break angles or have the movement abilities. Like it feels like after First Strike, a very, very prominent opinion was Europe wasn't developing the meta in a certain way that was good for them, right? And all of a sudden you guys come out kind of back to what had happened, but also with all of your new ideas. Did you feel that in general in Europe that they weren't really advancing the meta anymore at the beginning of this VCT?
Not really. I really like the idea that you just said. I'm confident that like you can like right now like the game is still really fresh. That Valorant has been out for like 1 year now since the beta, and I feel like you can pick up any composition that works for your team and make it work. But I feel like we're really trying to find like the meta of like which agents are better against their compositions.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do, but at the same time like we can't just like change agents like every single day. We might do like one agent's change just in a way of like enemy not predicting what we're gonna do. But I don't think anyone is still that experienced. I don't think there's no team in the world right now that can say like we can just like play like two or three compositions per map, knowing what the enemy will play. That's like my thought process on the meta game. I feel like in the future there's gonna be like this comp is better than that comp, and you can like have like 2 or 3 compositions per map.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking is like gonna happen. Like you're gonna have like duelist versus controllers. You're gonna have when the new agents are gonna come out, there's gonna be even more counterplay to different agents.
Yeah.
So you think it's a time thing right now? We're so early that we don't have that rock paper scissors comp versus comp. This beats it just because it's so early and we don't actually know how to do that yet, or there's just not enough agents to allow that yet. I guess with more time things will change. Interesting.
I mean, that's what FPX are trying to do at the moment. They've got a couple
Yeah.
of different comps that they try and run on most of their maps, and they're trying to pick and choose between them, but I don't really know whether it's dependent on what their opponents are running so much as just throwing curveballs at their opponents and, mixing it up so they become less predictable.
Yeah, I really like what FPX is doing right now. I remember, I only have like one example, but like on Split, what FPX does, they had Shadow. This was like 1 month, 2 months before. They had Shadow changing up his agent on Split, like he was playing Breach, he was playing Sky.
Yeah.
Against us in the first qualifiers to Masters 1, he was playing Sova against us on Split.
Yes,
And
yeah.
that's yeah, and that's not it's not really common to play against Sova on Split, so that really caught us off guard in the
Yeah.
first qualifiers.
He played it again in the most recent match at the EMEA.
Against Gambit, yeah.
Yeah, against Gambit. They played the Sova. And yeah, it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like they're using sometimes a little suboptimal comps, but they're designed to really make their opponents adapt. Like they want to take you out of your comfort zone, which I think is something that you did as well to teams because they weren't used to playing against teams that played like you guys did and played with the confidence that you guys did, and also had the skill that you did to be able to back it up as well. Because when you play this kind of style, you need very skilled players to be able to pull it off. It's not like Jimmy in his ranked games is going to be able to dominate by playing this kind of way.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I think it's I think it was against FPX. I remember when they played Icebox, they were playing with a lot of information. They had Race, Soa, Sky. Can't remember if they had something else like with an information ability. But I remember like we were talking like right before Icebox. This is actually really fun because I think Icebox was the second or the third map against FPX on the
Yeah.
semifinals.
Third, yeah.
And on the third map, like it's like 10-minute break, 15-minute break between the games, and our coach just like comes in and just says, "Hey, Killas, huh? Is it fine for you to play Killshot today on Icebox? Why not?" And like we had the thought process of they play with a lot of information. We're not gonna have our Reyna. He's not gonna freely walk up like really close against their composition. So it just went like, okay, let's go Killjoy and like hold the side and play retakes more often, and it worked out.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit before we move on about actually winning because I don't think it's easy for people to understand what the mentality is like when you get wrapped up in a tournament run like that, where you just kind of get sucked into trying to keep the momentum, keep the confidence going. You guys had 2 championship points against you. Like Heretics, if they had won a round during Icebox at some point, you would have lost. You would have come second. That would have still been a fantastic accomplishment for your team. But you managed to power through that aspect and then come out and win on the other side. We had Nookie on the show. What was it? Was it last week or maybe it was a couple?
Last week,
yeah, last week.
No, last week.
And he was kind of talking about that. How they really felt like they had to close it out there and they missed their opportunity. From your guys' point of view, what was that like to know that if you had lost a single round there, the entire tournament run is just disappeared, and then to be able to bring it back?
Yeah, so it's actually it's quite fun because I remember after the finals we had a like 3 or 4 days break, and when we came in like back to like our voice channel and whatever, I remember when like we started talking about the finals, and I remember like we talked about Icebox, and even like cNed, like he was questioned by Riot, like who do you fear playing against? No one. And I remember like when we were talking, he's just like, when we were playing Icebox and they got the match points, he said like, we're not gonna. He said to himself like, we're not gonna win this game. But that's where it comes, like having so many like strong players mentally and mechanically that even like Colemental, like what he said, like after every single round, we won, we lost, guys. We played round by round, and nothing else matters. That's where the mindset of like not thinking about yesterday, not thinking about tomorrow. That's where it comes to when it's the big games. You can't be thinking about do you lose the round? Do you win the round? You really just need to be like in the moment. And I think that's what like was the break dealer in against Heretics.
Who's the person that's keeping you on that track? Does it change depending on the situation, or is it like always somebody that's in these moments calming you guys down and kind of reminding you that kind of stuff?
I feel like I'm gonna do a small flex, but I think like when we're playing, I feel like I'm bringing up a lot of hype, a lot of like good positive energy, and then there's also Starkshow. He's like he's a really 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 funny guy.
I
Like
heard him in your comms videos, actually. The ones that were on your YouTube channel. Starkso's fucking hilarious. He's just
Yeah, like
screaming constantly.
yeah, and you know, like there's nothing better than Starkshow just shouting out your name after a clutch situation or we have won the round. I feel like Starkshow, like the man just has like an aura, like around him, and it's just like good positive vibes. It's just really nice to play with him. I think you can put him in any like team given, put him play any single like agent. He will perform mechanically, and he will also cheer up your team no matter the situation.
Like having your own personal hype man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, these couple of rounds here, it sounds like you guys didn't even realize the situations that like Nuki almost the clutches that he almost hit against you to win. It
Oh,
feels like you
don't
guys
even
didn't even
mention.
realize.
Like after he got the 6K on Icebox, like every single situation like where we had like Nuki was alive, you had to be on your like tip of the toes. Like I remember, I don't know if you have like the clip ready there, but I remember there was a clutch situation where Nuki kills in 1v4 situation, he kills 3 and the diffuse is like 0.01, 0.0 something seconds. And I just managed to like frag him out when he's diffusing, and like, oh my god, was I shaking, man! Like, I actually get like, what's the word, like, you know, like when you're cold sweats,
Oh, goosebumps. Like,
goosebumps. Yeah,
right.
when I even think about playing against Nucky on the icebox.
Yeah. Yeah, those kind of games are like a kind of incredible experience. I mean, the fans loved it as well, right? It was an insanely close game, and you guys ended up being crowned the Masters 1 winners. When you get to that position, you mentioned earlier that you didn't consider yourselves the best team in Europe at that point because there's so many good teams in Europe. How do you think about the success that you got in terms of replicating it again in the future and being able to be a top team? Like, after you win, what's your thoughts for the future of Acend? It's got to raise expectations, right? Because Raise Your Edge, Acend, the expectations were not to get anywhere close to winning Masters, I feel. Like, you've always got an outside chance, but it's not like you're coming into it thinking we're the favorites to win. And so how does that carry into the future? How does that change once you actually have the title under your belt?
Yeah, so that's a hard question, but I feel like we really need to just keep doing what we have been doing. Like I feel like we have like really smart players in our team. I feel like if we keep practicing the way we have done, we keep the confidence levels, we keep trusting each other the same way we did in the Masters 1 run. I feel like we haven't hit the potential, like the full potential. I feel like there's still a lot more to give from the team Acend. I feel like a lot of the players in the team, they can get mechanically better. We can get a lot stronger as a team, and I feel like in the future of Ascend, I feel like we will be fighting like for the championships. We will be trying, like we will be competing against the best teams in the world. I don't think like anyone in the team like has any other like opinions on that. I feel like everyone thinks of themselves as the champions and one of the best players and the best, like one of the best teams in Europe. So we just have to keep doing what we've been doing, practice like
Sure.
we've been practicing, and playing officials round by round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you put yourselves in like a great position, right? Like highest points possible for VCT, in Masters 1. So like
Yeah.
there's obviously a huge potential for you guys to be going to champions at the end of the year, no matter what happened in Masters 2 and beyond. Like there's a huge chance at the end of the year we'll see you guys at the LAN, right?
Do you guys
Yeah.
even think about that actually, BONECOLD?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Think about what?
Champions, because it's so far away. It's in like December. So like, have you even thought about, like, I don't know, does the idea even enter your mind? Oh, we need to do well in this tournament in order to get points for champions at the end of the year, or is it just about winning what's in front of you?
I feel like it's really just going like day by day. I feel like if you start thinking about like what's gonna be in the future, I feel like that's something that's gonna like stress like any player out there. I feel like every player just needs to think about. I feel like what players can do and cannot. I feel like players can influence their performance, but players can't influence on the results that they can get with their team. So I really
Right.
feel like players need to be constantly thinking about what they're gonna do today and nothing else. Of course, there's like glimmers of like, well, I hope we can get to champions and whatever, but you really need to just live in the moment, practice, 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 and perform as well as you can in the games that you're going to play.
I see why you're the positive and hype guy on your team, because Jesus, man, these psychological tidbits, like you sound
Yeah.
like you're well read and educated on the topic of of sports performance and sports psychology in general. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you a lot. I really appreciate that. I feel like that's something that my school actually has taught me. Like over the past few months, there has been a lot of like theory going on about being like strong mentally, but also like of course like playing in a top tier team. Also like it has to like you have to learn and adapt and
Sure.
be really strong mentally.
So now I want to get into the Masters 2 run as well, because there was all of this, huge excitement about Acend coming off the back of you guys winning a title, winning Masters 1. And there was still a lot of questions though about the team itself. And I feel like there still are a lot of questions from the outside perspective of, is that kind of performance replicable? Like, can the players play at that kind of level? Is BONECOLD, is cNed, these guys going to pop off in the same way that they did during that run? Can they replicate the magic? That to me is a very, a big question coming off the back of your run, mostly because even though the run itself was phenomenal, you guys didn't have the history of doing it before that. And I think a lot of the other teams that have won titles within Valorant at least have some level of history before they win the title. For you guys, it really did feel like you sprung out of nowhere and just dominated people for one tournament. And it's always very hard to know whether that's going to continue. So can you walk us through a little bit about like how you felt going into Masters 2 and these qualifier games?
Yeah, so going into Masters 2 right after winning the Masters 1, um, I'm gonna say like after winning Masters 1, I feel like there was like a drop off in the performance. Um, I don't think I'm gonna lie saying that we kind of had a bit of ego in the team in the
Right.
means of like we won Masters 1, like we don't have to prepare and like do the routines that we did as good as we did before Masters 1. But then again on Masters 2 we fell against Team Vitality. I'm gonna say that on Masters 2 we weren't performing even close to what we did on Masters 1. We fell to Vitality. They're a really good team. But I still feel like that's something also that we're gonna be learning about. Like we've had our like ups and downs, and every single time we have went down, I feel like every single player and the coach on the team really they learn something about it. And I feel like that's not going to be the run on Masters 2. It's not going to be your end. I think it's just something that we're going to grow a lot stronger from.
That is a very common symptom of teams that end up winning. I mean, that's happened in a lot of regions so far. Like the teams that made the final have really struggled. Yeah, Nucky was talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah. What do you think like actually changed though? I mean, you talk about ego and whatnot. Is that like the symptom, the cause of the losses against both NIP and Vitality, or was there something else? Right? Was there play style differences or other teams like learning the meta or anything like that? Was that the ego and just not preparing as much? Was that the reason, or was there something else?
I think like the ego and like just being like a lot more relaxed after winning Masters 1 was one part of it.
Yeah.
But then again, like as I said, there's a lot of good teams out there. Like you can't count nobody out that gets to like the playoffs or like the whatever round. You need to be thinking about like every single move you do, and you need to evolve constantly. And I feel like some of the teams that like didn't make it as far as we did in Masters 1, they had the same as like us. Like they lost, they learned, they adapted, and they came out a lot stronger onto Masters 2. I'm gonna say like it's almost like 50-50. Like teams got a lot better, but at the same time we were a lot more relaxed against other teams on Masters 2.
There was also a lot more teams just playing different shit too. I feel like there was a bit of a shift in Europe. I think inspired by your guys' success actually, to start playing more Jett specifically, but also a lot more duelist in general. It's not been every team and it's not everywhere as well, but with people like Durka and Yampi and Scream playing more Phoenix and that kind of stuff. Who else has made the shift over too? I feel like there's a bunch. There's a lot of teams though that are trying to run that kind of stuff. It's not the same style as you guys, but I think they're trying to take the core concept of using high mobility agents to try and break a lot of the setups that Europe was actually using. And it's something that North America realized very early on, I think, is just like, these agents are fucking crazy. Like, how do you even stop them? Do you feel like that factored in some way?
Like how the NI teams played and like how we played?
I mean, in general, like during your qualification run for Masters, the ideas that you had already put out into Europe, changing the way that Europe ended up playing, do you feel like that was a disadvantage for you moving forwards in the future?
I'm really sorry. I missed it a second time. Can you once more repeat?
What I mean is, when you were doing your Masters 1 run, you guys were quite unique in that you were playing the Jett and the Reyna. And in Masters 2, it's not as unique. There's a lot of different teams that are trying to do that. Do you think that ended up with you guys being more figured out because other teams are doing it too?
I think there's a possibility. Yeah, I feel like we sparkled something out to Europe, like showing them that you really don't need that much utility to get out. I feel like having a Jett or a Reyna, you have like so many things you can give to those agents. Like you can support them really well, even with like 1 or 2 agents. And I feel like the mobility is so unique when you compare it to like the traditional utility of like smokes and flashes and whatever. I feel like it's just something, it's so strong, and it's something that you really need to be afraid of it. Like you need to be afraid of Jett just dashing in like in front of you, like inside of a smoke, and 4 people running behind her. Like you need to be, there's always a possibility of that happening. If you're not running a Jett, they're just gonna, like 1, 2, 3, 4 guys running out, but no one's right in front of you. I feel like playing Jett and playing Wraith, I feel like that's why they're so strong. Like they can breaking the angle is so damn good in this game.
Yeah. The other thing that people had questions about in terms of Ascend's run as well was there was like this incredibly strange response from Riot talking about like coaches IGLing and stuff within the game and communicating to people. And then Ascend, I mean, fantastic YouTube videos being made on the Ascend channel. I don't know whether you've watched some BONECOLD, but they're actually there's some of the best content that's being made at the moment in Europe, at least. I know that some of the NA teams are trying to do like comm stuff as well, but those videos, anybody who's watching this should go and check them out as well. But like one of the things as well was that NBS's face is like popping up in the middle of them, and so people were questioning what was going on there as well. And I don't think anyone's even got a clear answer. So what was even happening during like the Masters 1 run? Was it impactful in any way for you guys?
It was. It was impactful. So like before even the open qualifier started, we had asked Riot that like, is it okay if like the coach is in in our channel? And we got the answer that yes, like he can be there, and you can also even like stream the games for the coach.
Right.
But I think it's just like I don't want to talk like anything bad, but I think it's just misinformation on Riot's behalf. Like I don't want to like flame them. Like there's no
Sure.
flame intended in this, but I just feel like it was misinformed. I think it should have been like like you can have it or you don't have it, and I think it should have been communicated to other teams.
Yeah. I mean, they apologized afterwards and were talking about it, but it just seems like it was a bit of a mess. Can you like you said that it was impactful as well. Do you feel like that's something that like helped you on your Masters 1 run?
It did. Like having the coach in the channel like cheering up people, and even in the YouTube videos, there's no denying like he gave like a little information. Like he wasn't like calling, but like in like high pressure situation, he said like, okay, like they're diffusing, and like knowing that like the coach can be in Discord and not muted, like we had to take like advantage of that.
Sure.
Not in the means of not in the means of like trying to cheat. Like if we had asked Royal and they say like, no, you can't have a coach, like of course we wouldn't have a coach in the channel, but you like as a player or like as a team you just need to take like all the advantage you can get.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, I completely understand that. These videos are so good as well. I didn't even realize I haven't watched the most recent ones with subtitles at the bottom too, and the players' faces and stuff as well. Yeah, those are sick. Can you explain a bit of like Coldamenta's calling and like what the coach was communicating as well? Because I feel like a lot of people were just like, well, the coach is just going to be calling everything for them. He's just a fucking genius that's just like playing a top-down RTS. I feel like that would be worse for you guys, wouldn't it? To have somebody that I don't know, like it would almost be intrusive at that point. But I don't know, I wasn't there. So can you kind of explain how the system worked, and then Coldamenta presumably still doing most of the IGLing?
I agree. It's basically like 99% of the players talking, and the coach is saying like he's diffusing. Let's go, guys! Like cheering us up, and I think I feel like it's just like misinformation, and people maybe just like I don't want to talk anything bad about like anyone, but I just feel like it's not have been on my radar. I haven't even like thought of this so much, but it could be like it got a little, I don't know what's the word of like like it's just being
Over, like inflated.
or
Overblown.
inflated. Yeah.
What do you guys think about the doubt for Ascend moving forwards? Because I think a lot of the top teams had a bit of a I don't know, like a bit of a chip on their shoulder that they got beaten by such a team out of nowhere that was able to succeed that quickly. What's the mentality within Ascend for like battling those top teams in the future, and how do you guys process those kind of narratives, I guess?
So like going into the future, I feel like especially like after the Masters 1, like we had been playing 3 months, maybe even less. So that's why I said like we haven't even showed our like full potential. We're gonna have like 3 months of screaming and practice ahead of us. So like all I gotta say is like when the 3 months are over, we had gotten our practice and we just got the 2 week like vacation. I feel like we're gonna be a lot more stronger than in Masters 1. Masters 1, we played comfortably, we had confidence, but when we get some practice, we're gonna have the same confidence. We're gonna have the right mentality and the routines. We're gonna do well in Masters 3.
You said, be careful, guys. Like
Yeah.
you talked about how like the ice is broken, right? Now you've gone through everything. Now after the next event, there's not going to be any doubts, right? You guys have gone through losses, you've gone through beating big teams, you've gone through all the cycles of like your ice breaking period. So
Yeah.
I feel like there shouldn't be any doubts for you guys. There shouldn't be any doubts for the other teams. Now it will be 100%, Ascend at their potential.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you some questions about EMEA and the tournament that's going on at the moment, because while we're having this conversation, I think the teams are in like a week break. They've already played the first games of the finals.
Start back up on Thursday.
Yeah, right. So they begin again on Thursday. The first thing that I want to ask you guys is whether you believe that Europe is the best region at EMEA. Because there's been a lot of talk about the Turkish teams, the CIS teams. You've got a phenomenal Turkish player on your team. So I think that it's clear and obvious how skilled the players are from those regions. I mean, FPX is full of CIS players, like cNed and Para, and these kind of players have demonstrated quite clearly how good the Turkish scene could be. But so far, that hasn't actually translated into match results at EMEA. And when we had Nuki on last week, he was talking about how they were getting battered in scrims by people like Gambit, etc., despite the fact that they were, they're the winners of First Strike and they made it to the finals of Masters 1. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts and feelings on that kind of aspect?
Yeah, I mean, like before this like the playoffs, I would have given the same answer as Naki did. I feel like the Turkish and the CIS teams, they are really strong, but here comes the fact again that there's just so many goddamn good teams like going
Right.
around in Europe, in EMEA, in CIS, Turkey, Vision Strikers. Like man, like you can't count anyone out. I mean, just give like Gambit and FPX a rematch. Like tomorrow, I bet you like there's gonna be a different result. You can't. I'm gonna repeat myself, but you just can't count anyone out right now in the scene, like anywhere in the world.
Do you feel like it's hard to even tell who the best region is within Europe? I'm going to say within Europe. What I mean is within EMEA, so I'm comparing like Europe, CIS, Turkey. Do you feel like it's literally anybody's game at any point?
I think so. I really do think so. I feel like there's so many like top tier teams. Some have like won tournaments, some have not, but they have crazy potential. But from like the EMEA region, I'm still gonna be a bit biased by saying that I think Europe just has. I think they have the strongest teams. Just in the fact of you can like there's some Russian players, there's some like Turkish players, and I feel like they like it just feels like the top Russian and the top Turkish players they have gotten to like the best European teams and organizations. Sure. I feel like that's what makes Europe so much stronger.
Yeah, they kind of took the best from the other regions and kind of compiled them together. And yeah, I mean that's literally how FPX was made. Just best CIS team and a top European team, and just mash them together.
Yeah.
I wanna get some predictions from you. Not necessarily the bracket, but like if you had to send 2 teams to Iceland from EMEA, and you want Europe to be the best, right? And you're trying to send the best representatives possible, and you can't send yourselves, you can't send heretics, right? It's only the teams that are currently in EMEA. Who would you pick? Like, who do you think would be the best representatives of the whole region?
I got to go and say FPX and Fnatic.
Right.
I feel like Fnatic with the new players, they have shown like immense strength and like they're a really strong team. As soon as they picked up Magnum and Derke, I feel like they have gotten so strong.
Yeah.
And FPX, I don't think you even have to mention like how good they are. I just feel like FPX is one of the teams that I actually think they even deserve to be going into the finals of the Iceland LA like LAN event.
The other part to this as well is that they're playing on patch 2.06, I think. Maybe it's 2.07, I'm not sure, but they're pretty much the
He's
same.
playing on 2.07.
Right, okay. But I mean, the big news there is the Viper buffs and that kind of stuff. You're not going to be playing for a while, so I want to try and squeeze some juice out of you here in terms of what you believe is good right now. Because by the time you're playing next, it's going to be a totally different patch. Don't worry, you can give us all the secrets. Don't worry about it. But do you feel like the teams are going in the right direction? Some of the teams. Some of the reasons actually that I feel like the Turkish teams aren't doing that well in the tournament right now is that, especially Footballist, but also I think you could apply this generally to like even Gambit actually, who from CIS, they're not really changing their stuff for the new patch that much. And yet, even teams like Liquid, we saw Liquid start to play some Viper on Bind and that kind of stuff. Do you feel like the meta is going in a certain direction, or is it still really open and you can play a bunch of different stuff?
I really feel like it's like open to play whatever the team feels best for them. But it's just that like the Viper just came out, like the new Viper with the buffs. It's kind of I'd really say like it's a 50-50 for some of the teams. Like maybe some of the teams have gotten more time to prepare playing Viper on like a lot more maps. But then again, I feel like some people like let's say like a team like FPX, I feel like they could play their comfort picks and they'd win to real or like play really comfortably against the new Viper.
Sure.
I right now, if like let's say if I was the coach of like one of
Okay.
the teams
Yeah.
going into the EMEA playoffs, I'd say that I'd be against playing Viper if you didn't really have the time to prepare it.
Right.
It can be really strong, but if you don't have the time to prepare and do the strats and have the player really comfortable playing Viper like outside of maybe Bind or Icebox, like let's say playing Viper on Haven, if you haven't played that on ranks or in scrims that much, it can really just flop on its head the Viper
Yeah.
pick just because you're not comfortable playing it.
Yeah.
But going forward, I think there's going to be a lot more Viper. It's just,
What do you think? What do you think about the Yoru? The guild pulled out Yoru. Draken was playing it for one map, and he had some really cool stuff that he was showing. But like, I don't know. We've seen teams try and use it in some areas. Like the top Brazilian teams tried to pull it out a bit. We had Draken pulling it out. Otom actually for Rix was pulling it out in your game that you beat them like 2-1 in order to qualify for Masters. That was before Yoru was even buffed. Otom the crazy bastards playing it in the qualifiers.
Yeah. So thinking about the Yoru, I mean, what do you like? I haven't played it so much. No, actually, I haven't played. I don't think I've played like a single game of Yoru ever. But what's your guys' opinion on like on the ultimate? Like, I feel like the teleportation and the flashes, the footsteps, they're pretty nice. But what do you guys think about like the ultimate?
I think the ultimate right now that you can TP while you're in it, is okay because you can get the information. But in general, like you can't. Outside of the stuff that you're normally getting to in terms of your teleport, I don't feel like the ultimate gives you that much value because you're not skipping over people, the people can still see you, so you can't break setups as well. I think it's kind of weak. But with TP, getting the information, like actually seeing the setups and not just like a Sova dart and the noise, I think it could be pretty strong for that as well.
What I noticed Draken was doing with his ult a lot was that he was combining it with Leo's stars, so that when like for instance, when he did this play into A, it's slightly different, but it still works here. When he comes out of his ult, he's always coming out of his ult inside one of Leo's smokes. And so he's getting into deep angles on the site inside a smoke. And it's kind of similar to like if you Omen teleported inside a smoke or something. As long as you know that you're the first guy into that smoke, you can actually break a lot of stuff by doing those kind of things. But I think it feels like Yoru's incredibly teamwork focused right now. Like your timing on everything has to be clinical to make it work, because otherwise the Yoru's just in there, can't pull out his weapon in time and dies immediately.
Yeah, I really agree on that. I just feel like I'm just imagining, like, just thinking about like having like an invisibility and like immunity at the same time. I just feel like how long has Yoru been out? Like quite a while, and
Long
people
time.
still and nobody really except like and like the Rix is like the only team that has like constant games with Yoru on bind, but like after the buffs, thinking about the invisibility, like we haven't played Yoru at all yet, but I just want to think like the ulti could be so good, like just going behind the enemy lines, breaking all the angles, getting all the information, having like the safety of teleporting out. It could be really strong on the right hands on the right team.
Yeah, I've been
We'll
really
see.
enjoying watching Guild play it, so hopefully they bring it out more.
I think that Brazilian, what was it? The two teams that played it are
Yeah,
Vikings
I think it was
and
Gamelanders
Gamelanders.
Fury. Oh, was it Vikings? Right.
Yeah, I think it was. Just so much fun.
Yeah.
Just so much fun. With the buff, like the amount of times you could throw out that TP, it was just fun to watch and exciting to watch as well. I want to get your opinion on. I know you haven't played Breeze, so I'm not going to ask your opinion about the map, but I want to know how you feel about the fact that it's going to be played at Iceland and how you think teams should approach playing or not playing, or like just their entire game plan with Breeze in the map pool at Iceland.
Oh, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of teams that, I mean, depending, like, let's say like people start screaming on Breeze. You're gonna have teams like there's gonna like information just goes in and out. You're gonna have teams telling other teams like, "Oh my god, like have you played against them on Breeze? Holy god, like you don't want to play. Don't even book the scream against them."
Does that happen a lot with like other stuff? The teams talk to each other and they're like, "Jesus Christ, they're insane on this map."
Yeah, I mean, like just saying like Gambit on Icebox. I don't think we have one single scream against them. But I feel like when it's gonna be played on Iceland, I feel like it's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be so many new strats, a new map. There's gonna be people banning it. There's gonna be people that are just like going like this, like before the games, and the vetoes go on. It's gonna be hella fun when the Breeze is gonna come out. New map, new things, everything's gonna be new. I'm really like waiting for Breeze to come out.
It's gonna be mental. It's gonna actually be insane. I feel the map is so weird, so interesting. But I haven't played it yet, so I don't have fully fleshed out thoughts, to be honest.
Yeah. I know the pros are gonna play it today, right? You guys get to open up and play it early. All the people who played VCT. So.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm gonna be streaming Breeze today. Later.
Let's go.
Plug it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so on Twitch TV /BONECOLD like Valorant, and it's gonna be happening right after the podcast.
Nice. All right, sweet. Well, that'll be pretty much at the same time as we've uploaded this. Thank you so much for talking to us, BONECOLD. It's been a lot of fun, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future too. I'd love for Acend to be doing incredibly well, and see if you can book your trip to Champions at the end of the year. It's been I mean, you guys are so fun to watch. I can't overstate
Thank-
that enough. It was an incredible tournament.
Mhm.
I think our producer just pulled up a clip from your channel or something there.
Oh.
There's some noise in the background.
Yeah. So
Right,
there's
right.
a lot of.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
there's a
just
few
people in your
gamers.
background.
Yeah.
I
Gamers,
just want.
gamers
I
gaming.
don't know why. With this esports school, I just want like an anime made about this esports school. It sounds like the most fun story. It's
Yeah.
the most fun environment too.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Thanks for coming on. Both.
Thank you very much
Yo,
for coming on the BONECOLD.
Yo, thank you. I really appreciate like the chance I got to like talk to you guys. It's been a blast being here. I wish you guys nothing but best. I hope you guys enjoy your summer, and really big thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank
man.
you as well. I mean, have a lot of fun prepping for Masters 3. It's going to be sick. And we're going to have another episode coming out next week. No idea who the guest is going to be, but we'll try and figure it out. All of the fantastic guest candidates that I'm sure you would love to see are in the middle of fighting for their lives in the playoffs, whether it be in NA or EMEA or whatever. So we'll get you some information coming up shortly. In the meantime, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.